Guys, do you like my Wii Fit collection? Oh wait, hold on. Guys, I forgot this one. I think I'll go through the retro stuff. I'll go through starting at the old things and then getting to the newer things. For the old stuff, I've got some Magnavox Odyssey 2 stuff and some Atari stuff. And the neat thing is I actually have the Magnavox Odyssey 2 and the Atari 2600. You can't tell, but it's there. Oddly enough, starting off with these retro consoles, I got them for the cheapest. This was $20 for the system, and I would say probably 20-something games, and these 10 Atari games, and this is actually where we get into one of the first really cool expensive games. This is Subterraria. And oddly enough, this is either the second or third most expensive game that I have, being worth around $100. But unfortunately, the one that I have is a bit rough. But these games are still very rare. And you guys have probably seen this Atari 2600 before because I made a shorts video about it probably a year or two ago. But this was 20 bucks at a garage sale with all of this stuff. And this was 20 bucks at a Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul, whichever one you care. It came with these 3 games. So either one was a pretty good deal. And I can't talk about retro stuff without talking about this area. These are, well, my only Genesis games. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition for $13 at GameStop. And Mrs. Pac-Man, well, there's no sticker on it from where I got it, but this was about $5. So both fairly cheap. And something, it's not really too crazy because I only have 2, but I've got that massive freaking thing over there, and this decent sized thing over here. These were also a pretty good deal, although they're not video game stuff, so I'm not going to worry about them too much. Alright, so I am constantly looking for video game stuff, and while I was recording this video, I got confirmation that I'm going to be able to purchase Nintendo Entertainment System Power Set with some extra stuff for about $100. I don't think it's a bad price. It's worth almost $200, but if I get it, I'll jump to that. Alright, so I just got the NES bundle. It's a lot worse than I thought it was, so I got them back down to $90, but it's all there. It's quite rough, I will say. It's very bad in terms of condition for the box, but I've seen worse for 90 bucks. Next up, we've got a lot of the PlayStation stuff that's bundled up with the older items. I think the only really expensive game over here would be Guilty Gear X, which I got for about $3. It would be nice if I could get it back in the thing. But Gauntlet Dark Legacy is also a decently expensive-ish game. It's worth about $25. And starting to get into the Japanese stuff, as you can see here, we've got these Japanese games. But a lot of these were actually a lot cheaper than you'd expect. I got these PSP games, all of them except for Namco Collection, along with this PSP for $60, and I think that was pretty good. I mean, the PSP doesn't work, and it's all Japanese, but even then it's still worth around $100, I'm pretty sure, and at least $5, so either way I'm coming out ahead. And oddly enough, all of these Steelbook games as well were a lot cheaper than you'd expect. Injustice 2 was $5 at GameStop, Wolfenstein 2 was $8 at GameStop, and the Fractured But Whole was, if I can check, $8 on eBay. Although it's not a PS4 copy, but you can't tell. The others are PS4 copies, by the way. The cool game for this section is something that most of you guys probably haven't seen before. It's a PlayStation 1 demo disc, not for resale. I'm actually not sure where these came from. I'm assuming it's like a GameStop kind of thing where they would have it on display, but I do not know. This was, believe it or not, get ready, $1 at a thrift store, and I believe it's worth about $30. Speaking of PlayStation, we've got my PS4 games wall over here, which I am very disappointed to have to show off because I am in a hate relationship with PlayStation. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this game. Triple pack for Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and that person. This one was funny because you get all of this. It looks like it was from some random game store previously, but I'll actually tell you guys a story about this really quick. So the story behind this game is kind of strange. It was about 8 in the morning, probably closer to 7:30, and I was going to a bunch of garage sales. The garage sale I went to had this for $20 and 2 other games marked at $10. This one is worth about $30 or $40. The other ones were worth about $5. I offered the guy $5 for this one game, and he was fine with that. But then when I came back later, he wasn't willing to do a deal on the other games that he had left, even though they were worth a lot less. I don't know. He probably got burnt on this one and realized he was a frickin' moron. I don't know. But that's... No, I was going to say that's the most expensive game for this section, but I've got something really cool to show you guys. I can almost guarantee that you haven't seen this game before. 428 Shibuya Scramble. I got this from GameStop, as you can see, for $10. And from what I can find online about this game, there's only about either 2,000 or 4,000 copies for this version. And it's worth about $45. So this is a lot of my sort of mid-range Nintendo stuff. Not super new, but not super old. How many copies of this game do you want? Hold on, actually, yeah. How many copies of that game do you want? There's really nothing too notable about this section, mostly because there's nothing too notable about it. I don't know. There's not anything that crazy. We've got my famous copy of Carnival Games Mini Golf from that series from like 2 or 3 years ago. It's not the exact one, but it's the closest one that I could get. Yeah, as I said, there's really no notable games about this section. A lot of the Japanese Nintendo DS games are cool, but they're not expensive. And, well, technically, the 3DS that I have is notable. This is a Cosmo Black 3DS original. I got this off Facebook Marketplace for $80 with a charging cable. I got this probably 2 years ago, and I thought it was a good deal when I got it. It's a shame that that's the version of the 3DS that's almost worthless at this point. There is one other rare PS4 game I have. I don't even know if it's rare. I only got this because everything I saw online was saying it was rare or that it was expensive. But Gravity Rush Remastered. Believe it or not, this was a game that I spent probably the most money on. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of money on most of my games, and I spent about $40 on this. And unfortunately, that's about what it's worth. So at least I have it in my collection, but... Now we get into a lot of the more modern stuff. So you've got all of these Switch games. Most of this was actually from GameStop, as you can tell by these, which I hate. Oddly enough, most of these were a pretty good deal. There's really nothing too notable, although if I quickly skim... Mario Odyssey, I bought this recently when they had a deal. I got these 3 games for $50, which I think is pretty good. In my personal opinion, if you're looking for a party game, it's between either these or any of the Mario Party games, because they're pretty good. Now, kind of ending things off, I have the technically 3 most expensive games, if you're not counting the old Atari game. So the first one that I got is Mario 3D All-Stars. I bought this with a Nintendo Switch that I have for $200, and I think that was a pretty good price at the time. Next up is the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus DLC Booster Pass. This one is a little weird because it's this weird version, because there's really no American or US version, but this one was $80 on its own, brand new, mostly because I wanted it. I mean, it's a pretty nice version to have. The last one is technically the game with the highest return on investment potential. It's the Pokemon Shield plus the expansion pass. Now, I love GameStop, but I did not buy this new for $90. You're going to think this is crazy, but I got this off Facebook Marketplace for $15. And it's worth like $160, so I mean, I'll take it. Believe it or not, this is the only special edition console I have, and this, on its own, complete in box, I mean, I say on its own, it actually came with some extra stuff, but I don't count the other stuff because it's worthless. This, on its own, $170 on Facebook Marketplace. The reason this was so cheap is because it was a family's personal system, and they use this thing all the time. The little kids got to it and beat the ever-living hell out of this thing. I mean, look at the rail. The rails on this thing are destroyed. If I get this one out, you can probably see it as well. The rails on this are basically garbage, because they have been destroyed. But, I mean, it's all there.